Right. It is time. UFC Vegas 88. Tuivasa versus Tybura DraftKings breakdown on the Killshot. DFS Army MMA podcast. Guys, you just missed a spicy conversation.
If we had that conversation we just had on air, we would either be real popular or canceled real quick.
So canceled. Just talking about the ladies of the UFC.
And Sun Tzu wasn't even here. We can't even blame it on him. That was all
true.
In honor of Sun Tzu. In
Yes.
honor of Sun Tzu. But we've got, listen, it's a card this weekend. It's a step down from last week's spectacular.
Step up from next week, guys. So enjoy this shit. Enjoy it.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of super competitive fights, but the main event is really competitive here. And there's a couple other ones where I think we'll have some angles that could be exciting. So let's get into it. We're talking UFC, we're talking DraftKings, we're talking scores. And to begin this card, and to begin this breakdown, guys, I want to do a little reminder of what it is that we're actually trying to figure out here with these breakdowns, right? What wins on DraftKings? There's two things that you really need to think about on DraftKings to win a tournament. Of course, there's cash games and there's that as well. If you're winning a tournament on DraftKings, what I need to get an understanding of which fights are likely to score well for the winner. The odds are giving us odds, right? We can predict one side, we can predict another side, but we're not going to be that much better or even better at all necessarily than the odds makers who are assigning probabilities to win probabilities on some of these fighters. We can study those lines. We can study some of the things like inside the distance props and try to figure out, is this fight going to score well? And then every once in a while, and this is where DFS is hard, a JoJo Calderwood will come out of nowhere.
Called it.
Inexplicably, and put up 97 points in a striking battle. Like, where does that come from? I have no idea. But that's why you mix in your lock button fights. Or every once in a while, Jan Kutalaba will be like, hey, you know how I normally come out and go crazy like a madman with takedowns and all that shit?
Didn't call this one. Take my lumps here.
He's not going to do that this time. And things get weird. Things get fucking weird.
1-1 on the geek intro for me. How about you guys?
That was brutal with Jan Kutalaba because the other call, like,
I was feeling so good. I had more wood than everybody. I was like, yeah, it's going to be a great day.
Right.
Oh, fuck Kutalaba.
Oh,
Shit.
what a disaster.
It was bad.
I had a lot of the other, like I picked the big dude with the fast finish, like all the other, big winners on the right side of, I had a lot of Poirier. Thanks to Vince, by the way, for being like super heavy on Dustin there. Got me heavy on Poirier. And it was 100% all in fight. But like Jan got me, and JoJo, I full faded that shit last week.
Was last week the Ludovic Klein I told you so lap for me?
No.
He could. That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. You're going
I can't
back.
keep him straight. I can't keep it straight anymore.
Apparently,
They all blend together.
Sniper had more wood than anybody when he was watching that fight.
No, well, afterwards I did not.
That happened. All right, so let's go back to the bottom up approach to these breakdowns, gentlemen. Because if we did the first fights first, no one would stick around to the end. So we're going to start with the first fight of the night and make our way up to the main event, starting with, and this one,
it's a big start to the night. If you're playing DKM and GPPs, you better tune in early.
How the hell does Chad Angliker even in the UFC? This is the most mind-boggling person to be in the UFC. 12-7 record, taking on Charalampos Grigoru. We'll pull up some odds for that one. And Charalampos is sitting as a -170 favorite with Giga Chad. What's the opposite of a Giga Chad? What's the opposite of the word Giga? Let's think about that. But Chad Angliker,
Micro Chad
Angliker coming in at +145. Fight ends inside the distance and acceptable, but nothing special. -155 with these two guys. I do want to point out that both of these guys, like the Angliger, he's just like he's just not very good. He's taken losses to mediocre guys. Only UFC win in the UFC, Jesse Strader, who has never won in the UFC. So he's already gone from the UFC. So this guy is certainly not looking like UFC material here. He's 37 years old, Monk.
Yeah, not you said a bunch of things that it's difficult to support Mr. Chad and Helliger here. But in his defense, he won in a split against Gaffarov, who's in the UFC, and he beat Brady Highstand, who's probably still in the UFC. But very, very low competition there. Yeah, Charalampos, I mean, he beat a guy in 1 minute. He would have scored 130 points in that win over the guy named Cameron Smotherman. Awesome name, except if you're getting smothered. So yeah, he looked great. You want to play guys that have opportunities at 1 minute finishes. Look at I was going to say Ronaldo, Despania, whatever his first name is, Robelis Despania last week. You got to play guys that are in fights like that, because even if it's 30-40%, it's not even 50%, he gets it done in a minute. That's still huge odds for a big score. So you kind of want to play a little bit of that, but this is a debuting fighter with 11 pro fights. And say what you want about Ann Helliger, 12-17. I wouldn't argue with whatever you wanted to say. He did beat a couple of okay guys, and he spent 43 minutes inside the UFC octagon. So for 7,300, I don't mind just a little bit over the field, just in case Gregorio shits the bed. After all, it is his debut fight, as I mentioned, and Ann Helliger has been in there with some okay opponents. So yeah, it could be interesting. I think if Ann Helliger wins, obviously candidate for optimal lineup, and if Gregorio wins, I mean, we might see a finish. We might see an early finish. Who knows? So I kind of agree with Sniper, whoever said it. I like this fight for DraftKings right off the bat.
Yeah, for me, I got 3 fights I'm targeting at having a fuck ton of, and this is one of them. And minus 155 isn't a massive number. When you look at the rest of the card in terms of scoring potential, it's up there. And then when I watch tape on these guys, I kind of think there's value in that minus 155. I see a finish. I see 2 guys who move forward, throw. Neither one's got great head movement. They both have power. I think this is going to end in a finish. I think there's value in minus 155. I was considering a bet on it. A little bit too much juice for what I've been liking to play recently, but it's viable. And so for GPPs there, I can't play Grigoru, whose name I cannot say, in cash because, like Monk said, debut fighter, don't trust him enough. So pass on cash games. I do think he wins, though, because when I watch tape, he can get takedowns. So that's kind of that X factor. They're both not very good. They both move forward and throw. Grigoru's got some wrestling. I don't think Ann Helliger can really stop it. It seems like a GPP special fight, though. I'll probably be over the field on both guys and not let the curtain jerker beat me.
And Ann Helliger's been taken down in all 3 UFC fights.
Yes.
7 times total.
That does seem like the path. Grigoru out there training with Aljo. He's training with Merab Dawashvili. I mean, how bad can you be training with those guys? So
wait,
I love his
does that
team.
mean Ray Longo's going to be in his corner?
It's probably going to be
A hole in his chest.
Please, God, let us start the day with Ray Longo. Gets me fired up.
Could be. Longo Weidman. What happened to Sarah? Is Sarah not in their thing anymore?
No, he's got the jiu-jitsu. He's the jiu-jitsu side of things.
Yeah.
Well, didn't
I think there might have been a split.
Confused. But it was amicable. It's not like they hate each other. I think because Weidman's in North Carolina with like Stephen Thompson. I think Ray Longo's got a second gym down there. That's those guys. It's hard to keep it straight.
Up with that. Yeah, I don't think
it's not nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the flip side is Charalampos hasn't exactly proven himself either. So that's what an opening fight on the card should be. 2 kind of who the fuck knows type guys. I don't think either one of these guys are particularly special prospects to target at all or to worry about in the future. So enjoy them while you can here.
Longo Weidman's in Garden City, New York. So I don't know what happened.
Next up, guys, Corey McKenna taking on Jacqueline Amorim, with McKenna coming in as a minus 180 favorite, Jacqueline plus 155. I think there was some serious line movement here.
On that one book, if you scroll right, it's the most severe, but still, yeah, there's line movement. What the fuck's up with that line?
Minus 140. Let's see. Yeah, I mean,
I'm pulling the trigger on Amorim at these prices. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I'm betting Amarim at this
It's
price.
a weird one, right? Like, what is the narrative here on McKenna that caused this line movement? Do we know?
That basically that Amarim striking looks like a first grader. The problem is Corey McKenna actually looks like a first grader. This is a weird fight because I think it's a 10-inch reach advantage for Jacqueline Amarim. Corey McKenna's got more experience in terms she was in Cage Warriors. She's tiny. If this is pure striker versus grappler, the way I see this fight in my head is that every time McKenna's gonna have to close the 10-inch reach differential, Amarim should just grab her, and I think we'll be able to muscle her to the ground. There's actually some decent upside in this fight for women's MMA fight. It should be, for me, it's a coin flip. Pure striker versus grapple. Amarim, big advantage on the ground. McKenna, big advantage on the feet. She's got to close 10 inches, and I think Amarim's going to grab her. Is it super confident? No, because it's low-level bullshit women's MMA. I will say in their respective paths to victory, because of the grappling, Amarim is more likely to break the slate in her win. And looking at these odds, the odds-based Joes not going to be playing her, so that makes me like her more for game theory purposes. Yeah, she's not going to be owned. I was considering Amarim in cash, and now at this price, I don't. That's a hard sell for me now. Now it's a real hard sell to get there.
I'm gonna check the what is, I don't know what the salary is. So
it's 8,208,000, and I think
McKenna's the favorite.
Yeah,
this shit with UFC 300 showing up.
Yeah, I did that a bunch of times.
Why
yeah,
is it there?
82.
All right, so hold on a second. Amarim, it's an 8K 8,200. You're right. Yeah, that will keep people off of her. Let me tell you something about Jacqueline Amarim. I don't actually know how she pronounces that name, by the way. But this lady's winning in the first round all the time. Like, it is a very common thing for her to win by armbar. She's a submission specialist. And I think what's fascinating to me about this fight is that I think Corey McKenna is going to attempt takedowns here. In other words, even though Jacqueline is a specialist in terms of the grappling, I don't think that McKenna is going to avoid grappling exchanges. She goes for takedowns at a high rate in the UFC. That's her game too.
That'd be a mistake.
What's that?
I think that would be a big mistake.
I think she's going to do it though.
Amarim is gassed out at some point, which is possible.
No, I think Corey McKenna is going for takedowns. You know why? Because she always does that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't argue with you.
I don't know, but that's what she does too. I don't really. This is a weird one for me. I think Amarim is my pick here, and I don't know. It's really weird, the line movement. I was hoping you guys would have some like other insight other than the general like.
This is weird.
Not really. I mean, McKenna absorbed 5 strikes a minute against Hansen. Not good. 5 strikes a minute against Reed, which all she does is throw left hooks, and that's probably about the right number for fighting Elise Reed.
I forgot Kay Hansen was in the UFC and not known their fans model. I forgot that.
Amarim, tough fight against Sam Hughes, who's super tough. Everybody knows it. And then she looked great against Ruiz. She landed 6.3 strikes a minute against Ruiz, who is the shortest person in the UFC and probably not the best competition. But like Sniper said, 10-inch reach advantage. Like you guys are saying, 8K. I think she might be overlooked. I think it's a decent shot. I don't. How can you trust Corey McKenna to like score more than 80 points? In a win.
And plus, what if somebody takes her mid-morning snack? Like what are we gonna do?
What if her nap time doesn't go well?
We're just gonna keep on the old "she looks young" in this one photo thing. We're gonna stay with that.
Oh, it's not the one photo.
Dude, pull up the actual UFC photo.
It's not one photo. That's worse. Granted, keep in mind if she would beat the ever loving fuck out of me and like she could make some good OnlyFans content, just beating me up.
That's true. 58-inch reach though. I mean, you could like hold her back. One of those moves, maybe.
Sometimes look, I hate to say it, but sometimes those numbers aren't right.
No, especially when it comes to UFC stuff. But
yeah, like I'm not 100%.
Tapology says 58 also. So
yeah, Tapology, UFC probably got it from Tapology. Like in Tapology, like, I got it from UFC.
As a guy who's been doing
you got it from me.
As a guy who's been doing nothing but adding data in for UFC stuff, UFC is wildly bad at any time. Tapology actually get like Amarim, they have her listed at 67.5 reach. They give you the 0.5. UFC just throws out whole numbers, and they hope that you believe that Jairzinho Rozenstruik is 6'3".
You ever cheat off of somebody in your college business stats
Nope, never.
exam, and then you realize halfway through that they're cheating off of you, and you're like, wait a minute, why are our answers all the same? I'm not going to say that happened to me once, but I'm also not going to say that that didn't happen to me.
Would you guys get to a point where you're both waiting for the other one to answer number 8? You just look at each other.
I first go through the test, I fill out my answers, and I'm like, let me double check it against this guy, and all the answers are the same. And then as I flip the page, I see the dude looking at my shit, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm fucking looking at an exam.
Screwed, bro.
I'm in trouble.
Somebody that's cheating off of me. This is not, my whole plan just went to shit. That was a disaster. All right. Next up, Josh Kulabau taking on Danny Silva, with Kulabau coming in as a minus 180 favorite. D Sizzles plus 155. Fight goes the distance. An unimpressive minus 160. Kulabau inside the distance plus 240. Not great. Silva inside the distance plus 360. All right. Nothing special there. Monk, how do you see this one going?
Well, this is going to be kind of I guess a combination of game theory and previous fights kind of look. Danny Silva, I think a lot of people are going to kind of be on Silva because how much is he? 7,400 this week. And he landed, guys, 13.6 strikes a minute on the Contender Series. 204 strikes landed against Angel Pacheco. Would have scored 135 DraftKings points. I mean, fantastic numbers. Landed 2 takedowns and a knockdown and 200 strikes. That's fantastic. I mean, what else could you possibly want from a guy? Well, if you just look at a couple more stats, Angel also landed 197 strikes on Danny Silva. He scored 80 points in that Contender Series loss. So
no defense.
Yeah, exactly. No defense from Danny Silva. Meanwhile, Josh Kulabau looks a little expensive at 8,800, and I grant you that he is, because in his last few wins, he's averaging like 70 points, 76, 75, and 58 against the Wolverine there. Not looking good for Kulabau, but Silva's got 9 fights and no defense, and this is his UFC debut. And Kulabau has, I don't know off the top of my head, 6 UFC fights, it looks like, and a ton of minutes in the cage. So I'm hoping people are going to be all over Silva just because they see that number of strikes and the possible DK points, and just throw him in their lineups. I'll have a little bit of him because he throws obviously high volume, but man, Josh Kulabau only been finished once professionally. He's got like a few more fights than Silva, who doesn't even have 10. I'm going with the Kulabau side here. For DraftKings or for GPPs might be a little tough, but for cash, I kind of don't mind it. I don't think.
Sniper, what do you think? Monk is on the veteran side.
Well, guess what? You were hoping for people to be on Danny Silva, and no, I'm just kidding. No, thank you. I don't think he's any good. I think Josh Kulabau is actually a little bit underrated. I think you hit the nail on the head with this one. I'm not gonna belittle it. I think Kulabau is. I think there's some value on the price, but for DraftKings, it doesn't look like a fun fight. The reason why I thought about being way under to both guys, because Danny Silva showed the penchant for such little defense. I have to leave the possibility out there that the same thing happens and Kulabau has a career fucking night. I have to leave that possibility. I'll probably still be under, but it won't be drastically under. There's other spots I really want to gear up for in this card. For me, the pick is Kulabau just to kind of do what he does.
I'm going to go the opposite way, guys. Number one, I think this fight is really good for DraftKings. I love
hot take.
I love what Danny Silva's up to out there, throwing crazy volume and going for takedowns like a lunatic. He does everything that I want a draft. I don't know if he's very good or not, but he does everything I want in a DraftKings fighter when they win. So my expectation here is that this guy is going to go for takedowns. Maybe he'll get some and throw at a high volume. Probably not get a finish, but at Silva's price, that style of fighter when they win usually makes the winning lineup. So for me, I like the Silva side of this one. I think he's just generally a better DraftKings play. Kulabau, just a striker, which is fine because, again, his opponent has shown not much defense. So fine by me. That increases the likelihood of a finish or more strikes landed than usual, or something like the JoJo Wood fight last week, which out of nowhere turned into this just massive violence fest. That was awesome to watch, but sad for those of us who had no exposure to Wood, or those that had exposure to her opponent and were like, fuck, this is going to score well. Split decision. Who got it? It's Marina. It's JoJo, right? Like, that could happen here as well. I think the line is crazy. I think the DraftKings salary differential is crazy because the line isn't crazy. I'm sorry. The line is close. The DraftKings salary differential, 7,400. I'll take that on a guy who's plus 150 who is in the nuts if he went. Like, fine. I'll take that. I'll take that all day. So I like this fight, and I like the underdog going a little different from you guys there. So we'll see what happens.
We'll allow it.
All right. Next up, we've got Thiago Moisés taking on Mitch Ramirez.
Oy vey. Can we talk about the last fight some more?
No. We're going to talk about Thiago, who is younger than you would think, man. I feel like this guy is one of these OGs of UFC. It's really not that old, but he is minus 370. His opponent currently plus 295. Fight ends inside the distance, an acceptable minus 200. Let's get a quick look at the fighter statistics here for these two. But where the hell is that? Wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Down here. Yeah, the one negative with Thiago, doesn't go for as many takedowns as you'd like from a guy who seems to be a jiu-jitsu guy. But Monk, how do you see this one going down?
Yeah, I'm glad they got him a replacement here. So this is on short notice. Also, before I get into anything, Mitch Ramirez, you know what his nickname is? I'll just tell you, the Fight Stalker. And that kind of like made me scratch my head and go, that sounds weird. Do you guys know who Richard Ramirez is?
No.
Infamous serial killer nicknamed the Night Stalker.
Oh, shit.
This dude nicknamed himself after Richard Ramirez. So
the Fight Stalker, baby.
Questionable fight IQ. Or at least questionable IQ in general. We'll just say
questionable life IQ.
Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. So
wait, Monk, are you saying he's one step away from this tattoo here saying no regrets?
Yeah, exactly. No regrets. Yeah, exactly.
How funny would it be if that was spelled wrong on him, like Ramirez with an S?
Yeah, that is a tattoo right there.
Yeah.
Lost his DWCS fight by KO against Carlos Prates, who has already won one fight in the UFC in pretty convincing fashion. So I don't know how much to take from that. Like you said, Geek, Moises Young, he's 2.5 years younger than Mitch Ramirez, and making his debut here. 2-3 in his last 5. Not a good look for Moises, but look who he's fighting. He's losing to Joel Alvarez, Benoit Saint-Denis, and Islam Makhachev. Now, when he fights guys that are not quite on the world dominating level of those guys kind of that I just mentioned, he tends to do well and score well. Costa, he put up 113, finished him in the second round against Giagos, put up 101, finished him in the very first round with minimal strikes there. So not scoring a crazy ton of points, and at 9,300, you're gonna need him to at least get triple digits. But I think there is a chance here if things go well against Mitch Ramirez. The only problem is for DFS purposes, there's a few lineups that you're going through. You're getting in your high-profile knockout guys. You're getting in your guys that you think you're going to win in cash, and somehow 6,900 is just sitting there. Like I made 3-4 lineups with 5 guys, and then I was stuck with Mitch Ramirez. So I don't know what that says about me, but I think the percentages are going to be kind of low on him. But I've also seen people like Mitch Ramirez question mark this week. I personally think Moises is going to finish him, but you'll probably see 8 to 10% ownership on Mr. Ramirez here.
All right. Transition. First of all, Pulpo, put your pants back on. I know Monk called Joe Alvarez world class, but let's take it.
I meant Islam. I did say Islam.
Yeah, but you ran through the guys and you said world class.
Yeah,
like those guys. So our Spanish guy is just losing his mind. So Longtime DFS Army member, shout out Pulpo. By the way, if you're not in DFS Army, we got those links down below. You should join us and get some more breakdowns. All right, now that I got that out of the way, to me, this screams Ludovic Klein from 2 weeks ago spot. That's why I wanted to reference it earlier. I'm glad they found him a replacement. Mitch Ramirez, no bueno. Thiago Moises, world class. This should be a smash fest. My only concern is, what is Thiago Moises? He's starting to take a bunch of days. A lot of damage in his career, a lot of fights. Yeah, but to me, I'm reaching. I think Thiago Moises is just the way better fighter everywhere. He should put up a big old fat fucking score. Play him in cash games. Like he's the top dog this week for a reason. I can't get myself on much more Mitch Ramirez than maybe like 5 of my 150. So way under what Monk's thinking, but no thanks, not for me this week. But I mean, you got to make your stand somewhere. If you tell me you're going to play 10 to 12% of him and that's your big play, cool, it's GPP. But I got other spots.
I don't see myself just full fading Mitch Ramirez, by the way. This could be an Alex Hernandez versus Dariush situation.
What's 5 out of 150? What is that? 3% I just said? 3 to 4? Yeah, that's about right.
I would do a little more than that.
For me, yeah.
There are weird situations like this that pop up where you want a little bit of that underdog just because they're big dudes who throw hard. And quite honestly, Thiago Moises is kind of a disappointment machine. I had higher hopes for him.
I hope he's at the same the same nutritionist as Ludovic Klein, who, by the way, is roided out of his mind.
Oh yeah, and by the way, that's the other thing.
Guys,
USADA is over.
USADA.
USADA is over. Ooh. And these dudes, you now have to start paying attention to like their Instagram photos.
Dear
Everybody's
God,
a little more ripped.
Please let the real Paulo Costa show up to his next fight.
Oh, I want the version that's ripped on the roids, Paulo Costa. Like I like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, fine with it. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Thiago's almost minus 400, depending on where you look. He's a super heavy favorite. I don't think he's a lock button to score massively at an expensive price. So I don't think this is not a must own situation for me on the favorite. Could get there, but again, Thiago got to go for those takedowns a little more than he normally does. Doesn't score enough. I want better scores out of him.
Tough crowd.
Yeah. All right. Ode Osborne taking on Rafael Cavalcante Filho.
Here we go.
Filho minus 150, slight favorite. Ode plus 133, slight underdog. Fight ends inside the distance, a solid minus 260, but let's break it down further. Filho inside the distance minus 120 with Osborne plus 300. So what the odds makers are telling us is if Filho wins, greater than 50% chance. Effectively, if he's winning, it's probably happening inside the distance. That's what the odds makers are saying. Because they've got him minus 150 to win and minus 120 inside the distance, which means his win by decision equity is low. So with that being said, Monk, Ode plus 300, so a little less likely to get this finish here, but the odds makers really like Filho to get this done inside the distance, which is probably good. That's what scores well on DraftKings, as we know.
Absolutely. Just looking here, it looks like 16 of his 19 total professional fights have come inside the distance. Both of his UFC fights have finished by sub. Granted, the Makayev one was at the last second pretty much. 3 of Osborne's last 5 have also finished inside the distance, with him being knocked out, getting a knockout, and being submitted. So I think we kind of have to play this one, even though I really don't like the numbers for DraftKings. Like Filho in his 2 fights so far hasn't even scored 2 points a minute total. Ode Osborne is at 2.4 points a minute in his last 5, which both numbers not good. The one thing about Osborne, when he loses at the weight class, it looks like he's giving up 105.95 points at flyweight per loss. So automatically I'm looking at Filho right there. Like you said, if the odds makers think it's going to finish inside the distance, that's a pretty good look because Osborne likes to give up points when he loses. So I'll probably be a little heavier on the Philo side. What is he, 8,700? I was going to say 89, so that's a little discount in my head. Last thing I'll say, Ode Osborne, for having, how many UFC fights does he have? 8. Has an atrocious strength of schedule in the UFC. The way I measure it, blah, 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 55 to 57 is about average. He's sitting at 48, which might not sound like a big difference. It is a gigantic difference when it comes to these calculations. So an extremely subpar strength of schedule for Ode Osborne. Jafel Filo looked decent against Makayev. Probably his closest fight. I guess you could say that the most danger anybody's put Makayev in so far. So yeah, I like Filo here. Came back after a first minute adversity in his last fight. So I like Filo here, but don't sleep on Osborne. A lot of finishes between these two guys.
I'm really concerned about your strength of schedule numbers. I'm just curious because he's got Manel Kopp, he's got Asu Almabayev in here.
Yeah, that's the last two. Then you've got Tyson Nam, whose schedule is terrible, whose record is terrible. Charles Johnson, same thing.
Charles
Adeshev
Johnson's better than his schedule.
Fights.
I guess.
I know, but
all right, fair enough. Moving on, though, the reason I say it is because we didn't, from my hint earlier, I like Ode Osborne quite a bit. I like the fight overall. A Phil Ho win is not going to crush me. This is a GPP fight, like Monk said, but I'm on the Osborne side. Look, to me, this is pretty clear striker versus grappler, and everyone's going to point to that Makayev fight. Ode Osborne is not going to want to grapple with Phil Ho like Makayev did and wanted to. This comes down to, can Phil Ho get a takedown on Ode Osborne? Ode Osborne has been subbed a lot. If the fight hits the ground, that's why that number is where it is. Osborne was a 135er coming down to 125. He's going to be, I think, the bigger, stronger guy. And on the feet, I think he's got a big advantage. Like, I know Asu tossed him around. It's Asu Almabayev. We just saw that motherfucker last week. I don't think Phil Ho, to me, Phil Ho's got to show me. I'm on the Osborne side. I think he's a little bigger, a little stronger, way better on the feet. I'm willing to take those dog shots. Everybody's pointing at Phil Ho. Osborne's the guy I like, but I need to say it again just so I don't get lit up in chat. I don't get lit up anyway, and I don't give a fuck. I'm going to be over on Osborne and under on Phil Ho, but a Phil Ho win is not going to end my night. Like, if he's going to be 35%, I'll be at like 25. I'll be under the field, but I'm taking my stab on Osborne. I like the matchup. I think everyone's pointing to that Makayev fight. Wasn't Makayev like hurt in that fight? Although Makayev, I think, is a little overrated in general.
Makayev is a smidge overrated.
So
yeah.
So take that for what it's worth. But I'm taking my stab here on Ode Osborne. I like the line, like the price, like the GPP upside for both guys, really.
I'm on the Phil Ho side here. I think he will get a takedown and a submission. I like it. I use a wiki capping technique, and it goes like this.
Capper.
Ooh, he said the bad word, wiki capper. That's right, a fucking wiki cap. And it goes like this. When somebody gets submissions a lot, I look at their opponent, and if they get submitted a lot, I think those things, like, there's a math to it, right? Like, people who tap, they tap a lot. Like, they do it again. They do it again and again and again. It's a pattern.
Did you watch any tip? Because Ode Osborne once tapped with his feet to Brian Kelleher. That was not, I will admit, that was a bad look. That was not good.
This dude is finding new ways to tap. Like, he's finding, he's using his feet. One time his hands are tied up. He uses his dick. He's like, it's probably big.
That's why he's got his hair in a braid, so he can just tap it on the ground.
He's tapping. Look at this. How did he lose? By submission.
If you scroll up, you got a whole little fun chart there that tells you that.
No. I like to look at the actual. I don't believe that. Right? Guillotine.
It's what it's. What just happened?
Fucking fake news up there. Tapology. No, but yeah, he's got how many?
Right, Aaron Rodgers.
He's got 3 losses by submission. I believe in Aaron Rodgers. I'm not even an Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm 100% on Aaron Rodgers' side. I've never seen somebody get railroaded in more of a cockamamie way than this guy gets railroaded. It's all bullshit.
You know what? I will forgive him as soon as he lasts more than 3 plays for my fucking team.
As a Jets fan, I don't. It's not even that. It's not even that.
It is for me. I have hard feelings.
All right, Josiane Nunes taking on Chelsea Chandler. Nunes minus 145. Chandler plus 125. Inside the distance, minus 130, 50-50. And inside the distance, not bad.
Can I please go first for this fight?
Josie Ann got the dog in her, Sniper.
Oh god, no dog has ever
very
been in.
small
No
dog.
dog has ever been in her. No dog has ever barked up that tree.
She's got the fight. She's got the fight in her.
Look,
she's in it to win it.
I want to just get this over with. That's why I asked to go first.
Wait, hold up. She cut her hair to look like Rose Namajunas for a reason.
She just grabbed the bowl out of her kitchen.
Yeah. She's like, I'm not here to look cute. I'm here to fuck shit up.
Oh god, I can't believe I have to do this. Look, it is super hard and discouraging to pick anyone who visibly ran away into a cage in a fist fight.
Face first.
And here we go. Chelsea Chandler got hit so fucking hard by it was Manon Ferriol, right? Is that fight? Was it that fight?
Minot is no joke.
No, Norma Dumont.
No, Dumont. Norma Dumont. Yeah,
Norma
By the way,
Dumont. Same shit.
big old lady. So yeah, that's my point. Is Norma Dumont is not Josie Ann Nunes. This is not my most confident pick. I just think Chandler, when you watch her, not the Norma Dumont fight, it's hard to watch. She grapples and takedowns. That's what she's going to want to do. And I think she can get on top of Josie Ann Nunes and can make all kinds of jokes about Nunes and, you know, having Chandler on top of her. But I won't. I'm going to take the high road and just say this feels like some grappling control and Chandler going, that was Norma Dumont. This is Josie Ann Nunes. And I don't like it. It's not super. I don't like this fight. I can also say, honestly, if Nunes wins, I don't think she finishes Chandler. Chandler's that stupid Nate Diaz kind of tough where I don't think she's going to get finished. I don't think Nunes has much upside anyway. I think Chandler's going to be able to wrestle. Every time I watch the tape, I think she's going to wrestle. And it hurts my soul to say it, and I wanted to just be done with it. So I'm on Chelsea Chandler. I don't fucking like it, but there we are.
Yeah, same here. I'm on Chelsea Chandler, and
thank God I'm not alone. Because
speaking of bad strength of schedules, Josie Ann Nunes, holy crap! I mean, she did put up shocked everyone, 121 points against Bea Malecki. Come on now. She was then taken down 3 times and controlled for 25% of 15 minutes by Ramona Pasquale.
That's the fight I can't get by.
Jesus.
That's the one.
And then Zara Farron, ugly decision. It started here and it's just going downhill.
Farron's the one who tapped Megan Anderson in 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's some wiki capping for you.
Questionable decision.
By the way, I just got blacked by Megan Anderson, but for that.
Nice.
Enough fuck with Megan. Enough people
she's soft.
With Megan Anderson.
I know, but she loves the block button.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I echo Sniper sentiments. I think she'll be able to get takedowns and control time. Nunes ain't going to be able to get up if Chelsea Chandler's on top of her. At least I don't think so. So yeah, give me Chelsea Chandler. 7,800 is interesting. It's a little, I don't know what to do here. 7,800. I mean, she put up 28 in a loss against Dumont. I don't know. Not an exciting fight for me, but I have a feeling there's a chance Chandler could score okay here. It's just a weird feeling I have.
Neither of these girls are going to score. Come on. Do we not? This is not a good fight to target.
No.
7,800 for a dog who could wrestle, though, on a card. If a lot of favorites win, that's live. You don't need 95 on some, depending on the context of the
Nunes
score.
not targeting, but Chandler for that reason.
I get that it's a reach. Totally agree. But there are more scenarios where Chandler's optimal than Nunes.
I'm telling you, this fight doesn't score well. That's what my feeling is on it. I kind of like Josie Ann. I mean, I get why she's favored. She has real wins in the UFC, and I don't really see where Chandler is this great grappler. She hasn't done it a lot. So, I mean, maybe she's got that skill set, but
she hasn't done it in the UFC is the problem.
It's hard to take down Norma Dumont, and you're not trying to take down Julia Stoliarenko, so at least not in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, she just hasn't taken anybody down, really. So
yeah, you'll get armbarred. Exactly.
And Dumont has taken her down. Julia Stoliarenko has taken Chelsea down. I don't know. I'm not seeing that. All I'm seeing is a nasty, mean, bald-headed little meatball And that's the last thing you want to be picking against.
I kind of want Nunes to win just so I could read you in the Discord.
I don't think I'm playing much of this in DraftKings.
That's all I want to
It's
read.
not that relevant. I don't think I'm paying plus money, or I'm not paying favored salary for Josiane Nunes, who doesn't really do anything that scores other than occasionally beat the crap out of a can. But listen, that's what it is. I think Chelsea's probably the better DraftKings play because I guess grappling is in order, but I don't buy it. I don't see it. Unfriend you to both of them. This next fight, my guy, Natan Levy, gets a tough draw here against Mike Davis.
Yeah.
It's a tough draw. That's a tough one. Natan Levy's been handling whatever's been thrown at him. Putting up good scores. Monk, you probably love Natan.
Sure, in his last second to last fight, yeah.
He's putting up numbers. This is a tough one, though. Davis lined at minus 500. So not so great. Fight ends, let's see here. Levy inside the distance, a horrific plus 1,100. Of course, as a plus 400 to win, it's not going to be good. Davis inside the distance, an unspecial plus 145. So fight goes the distance, minus 175 here. Here's the thing, Monk, and I'm really curious how you see this one playing out from a scoring perspective, not necessarily historically, but like Natan Levy's the grappler, right? He wants to grapple. I don't know. Mike Davis is really well-rounded. I don't know how this one goes down. Do we think Davis just keeps it standing, striking, precision, outpoints Natan Levy, low-scoring decision win?
I don't think so, actually. Mike Davis seems like he's got a lot of tools in his tool belt, man. He's 3-1 in the UFC. He lost his debut fight to a guy named Gilbert Burns. So first of all, unfair. But yeah, Gilbert Burns. Then he beats Thomas Gifford. Not a good name, but he scored 135 points. Then he beats Mason Jones, who is probably going to be back in the UFC soon. Beats Slava Claus as well, scoring 123. But he's landed 14 takedowns in his past 3 fights. And on top of that, most of the time when you see guys landing 9, 3, even 2 takedowns like he has been, you don't see a ton of strikes. On top of that, he's landing 4.3 strikes a minute, 7.2 strikes a minute against Mason Jones, and 9.42 strikes a minute against Thomas Gifford. Natan Levy has put up decent scores, 120 and 95, but look who it's against, man. Genaro Valdez and Mike Breeden. The only decent UFC fighter he's fought is Rafa, don't call me Hafa Garcia, and he got taken down 7 times and controlled for 38% of that fight in a losing effort. So I'm big on Mike Davis this week. Sure, I'll have some of Natan Levy, but I honestly think he's outmatched everywhere. He's outsized here. Davis is younger than him if we're going off of that metric. Like, I just really like Mike Davis here. Natan Levy, UFC strength of schedule, not good.
UFC should have given him another cupcake instead of
he's been scheduled to fight a couple of people since Valdez.
Yeah.
That was back in 2022. He hasn't fought since December of 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is really, you know, I think UFC maybe should have fed him another, you know, cupcake or two before stepping up here to Mike Davis. This is a tough step up, Sniper.
What I like about Mike Davis, and Monk hit on it, that's why I was so excited somebody else said it, is we talk all the time about guys with terrible fight IQs. They can't trust their fucking game plan. What are they going to do? Mike Davis might be one of the smartest people in the UFC game plan-wise, or can actually follow a game plan. He gets a striker, I'm going to take you down. He gets a grappler, I can outstrike you. And he can keep on the feet. He's good. I don't think he's ever going to challenge for a title or get top 5, top 10, I don't think, because unless he really develops, those guys typically, like Ilya Topuria, has got massive power. You know, I'm just throwing it, like, nothing about him is superb, next level great, but he is really good everywhere. It's going to take somebody like Gilbert Burns, who's got, you know, top level skill, to beat Mike Davis. I don't see mediocre fighters beating Mike Davis. I think he's going to be around top 10, top 15 for a lot of his career. He's really good. Like Neil Magny at welterweight. That's the best. Like Neil Magny, obviously he's fallen off the last couple of years, but Neil Magny's just always good. What's interesting here is Levy does have power, and for what it's worth, because we haven't seen him fight in 15, 16 months, could he have developed? Could he have improved? Maybe. He's only 8-1. He's not a bad fighter, so
he's not young. I mean, he's not like
he's
of
not
an
young.
age where you see transformations.
Guys can still improve, but
you know what?
I like Mike Davis. I like how smart he is. I think he's actually going to wrestle in this fight and put up a decent number.
I do think Levy is in Las Vegas training, which would be better than being in Israel doing it. Or
would you call him Levy Las Vegas?
He might have to Levy Las Vegas after this fight. He doesn't get it going, but I do think it's a positive. Like if you want to look for grasp at straws, because his striking's a little bit not that good, or not. It's not his best. It's not his strong suit. Maybe it got better, training with American trainers. I don't know. Grasping at a straw here.
You want to pick him? I know.
I do.
I know you do.
They did try to give Natan Levy 2 cupcake matches. Pete Rodriguez was canceled twice, and Alex Reyes was the other one.
That's who he has to fight. Those type of guys. Like you're stepping him up to like Mike Davis, a dude who's kind of looks like there's not too many people that Mike Davis is going to fight that he's going to be like a heavy underdog. It's going to be close, even if you step him up to like the top 10.
He'll be a dog, but he'll be like plus 200.
Yeah,
he's not going to be.
He was plus 208 against Gilbert Burns in 2019.
Yeah, and his debut. That's wild.
Yeah, dude.
That was also short notice. I think that was a short notice call up. I really do. I have a memory of that because he lost to Usyk. He lost on the Contender Series, and they called him up anyway. So that could have even been a short notice. Yeah, it's a tough spot for my boy Natan Levy. But of course, I will be rooting for him. Maybe he can maybe he can grapple here. By the way, Mike Davis can be taken down. So I'll allow it. All right. Speaking of grapplers, Gerald Mearshart is on this card. And speaking of guys that have been submitted before in a tough spot, isn't that what this fight is about? Mearshart minus 238. Comeback on Bam Bam Babarena plus 200. I just want to see what Mearshart by submission is here. Plus 100. So the odds makers are giving GM3 a 50-50 shot at submitting Bam Bam here. That's crazy. I like this fight to end inside the distance in a big way, guys. Let's see what the odds makers think. Minus 175. I would have the line. I think that's too slim of a line because I also think that the way that Barberena wins is he knocks fucking GM3 the fuck out because Mearshart does not have the best chin. So I don't know, Monk. I like this one. I think it's going to score well. What do you say?
I agree here. I think it does score well. 91 and 71 is never ideal, at least when you're talking about the $9,100 side. But man, there's tons of finishes on both of these guys' resumes, both getting finished and being finished. So we do love to see that when we're targeting fights. Huge inside the distance number. I think what you said. I don't remember the exact number.
Minus 175, less good than I would have.
Okay, then not as bad as I thought. Yeah, man. I mean, Barberena, the reason that sub numbers like that is because, first of all, GM3 round 3 sub should be an auto bet anytime that he fights. Just throwing that out there. Also, Barberena has been subbed in 2 of his last 3 losses. One was to RDA, and the other was to Gunnar Nelson, who couldn't even finish. I always get this dude's name wrong. Who is the Japanese guy that he fought and rode his back for like 14 and a half minutes and could not get a finish there?
Takahashi Sato.
Thank you. Yeah. So against Sato there, Gunnar Nelson finished Brian Barberena in like less than 5 minutes. So I'm thinking there's obviously a chance for a GM3 sub. So I'm going to play that, although he does not always score well because there's not a ton of strikes. I mean, he landed 76 against Petrosky, but before that, we're talking about 3 a minute, less than 4 a minute, 2.5 a minute. 0.85 strikes a minute against Stoltzfus, so not a ton of volume, obviously, from GM3. So hopefully he finds a sub early so we get a decent score at 9,100. If not, I don't really know how well he's going to score. For instance, he subbed Bruno Silva in the third round, 85 points. Barberena should be mentioned. Moved up to middleweight, fought Muradov, who was primarily known as a striker before that. I think he was like 5 of 8 of takedowns before Muradov in like 8 fights. Before Barberena, and then he fights Barberena and lands 13 takedowns and then scores a mazillion points in the process. So Barberena looks kind of done. Meerschaert makes mistakes in his chinny. I'm playing this one. I'm probably picking GM3, but I'm definitely playing both sides here.
Got to load up here. Bam Bam's 49% takedown defense. It does not inspire. Now, some of that was from last week or the last fight, but like it does not inspire confidence. That
At least Meerschaert doesn't really throw takedowns too much.
He's going to here though.
He could
probably
get it here. Probably. Well, because that's a technique he uses when he's against the grappler. He'll just flop and reverse it. So like I think the numbers are almost skewed because when he's fighting somebody who will take him down, he'll just accept it, and he's got a really nice sweep, like maybe the best sweep I've ever seen.
The ball Craig defense.
He's really, really good at flipping from being mounted to top mount position. He's really good at that. So he never worried about getting taken down. But in this case, I think he will use his takedowns. And I don't know that Barberena's got what it takes to stop it. Sniper, can Bam Bam stop the takedown here?
I don't think so. I like GM3 a lot. Look, you've heard me say it a bunch if you've listened to any of my stuff. When your best quality is your toughness, that's not good. That's what everyone is saying about Brian Barberena. He's so tough. So translation, he gets punched in the face a lot. And really stylistically, this actually, Barberena's pressure, GM3 is a counter striker. Big leg kicks, big body kicks. And then if Barberena crashes too hard, GM3 can wrap him up. He's strong, get a clinch. I agree. I'm not going to full fade Barberena, but I have Meerschaert as like a core play. I like the matchup is too good for me. I know, and the loss, but was it Joe Pyfer? And like, sorry, this is a good spot. If GM3 loses this fight, then I'm going to be out on GM3. This is the one he has to win. This is the bounce back spot for, you went and you fought Joe Pyfer and Andre Petrovsky, two of the most legit prospects in the division. Here you go. Here's an aging Brian Barberena. Get one back on your highlight reel. Like a GM3 is a company, like he's a good UFC employee. Just look through the record. He just is. I think they know what they're doing. They're setting up for a win. He should get this one, and it should go on his highlight reel, quite honestly. So I like GM3 a bunch here.
Plays a mean sax as well.
There it is.
Skin flute. You
ever see that guy who walks around he's like the social media guy, and he takes a saxophone and he puts a road cone in it?
No, I just saw it like yesterday.
I love that dude.
Yeah, that dude's awesome.
You know what I thought? So just for those of you who are watching this, there's this guy who goes around and he just has a saxophone, and he will walk into like a restaurant or a fast food, like
Subway.
Like a Chipotle or a Subway. There's no one in the Subway or an actual Subway car.
I mean, a Subway car,
yeah. And he'll just start by like blasting this thing, and it's an awesome tune that he's playing on the sax, and and it's like a little video about the reactions of the people. 8 times out of 10 they're like, "Oh shit, that's awesome," and 2 times out of 10 some asshole like "You can't do that in here," and throws them out, and the whole thing's great. But I was thinking, like, in a world where there's so much shit going on everywhere, you open up the television, it's just shit. Everything's bad. And here's just a guy who goes around playing a sax. It's so happy little videos. And I was like, I'm going to watch this for the next half an hour and just think positively about the world.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. Look for the sax man.
Yeah.
Coming at you on short videos across social media platforms. No idea what his name is. All right. GM3. Fight to load up on. We talked about that one. All right. Next up, we got Macy Chasson taking on Pani Kainazad.
Rematch. It's a rematch.
Remix. of the original fight, with Macy coming in as a minus 220 favorite here. Panny plus 185. Fight goes to decision is almost a lock button at minus 360. Doesn't look good.
Macy finished her last time.
Let's see what happened the last time. Hold on. Let's go to,
yeah, she subbed her.
She subbed her.
Yeah. So.
Which is shocking considering who Macy is.
It's like
anybody.
It's the only fight that hasn't gone to decision for Panny in the UFC, I think.
I'm going to tell you something. After I went back to my usual self, by the way. Yes, I did. But for 30 minutes, I was like, oh, what a nice place we live in. You know what happens with women's fights and the submissions? Like, you can't, when rematches for women's fights, a lot of times go super different. Like when men fight, and this is the most crazy thing. I have a reason for it. This is not, what do you call it? This is not misogynistic. Men fight, they rematch.
Hear me out.
The same thing. Hear me out. The same thing happens when dudes fight, right? Like they fight 4 years later, the same result. Like nothing changes. They're the same guy. But sometimes with female fighters, like early in their career, they just have no clue how to stop a submission. They haven't trained in that discipline at all. And so somebody gets quick submitted 5-6 years ago. I believe we actually had a situation like that last week. There was also a rematch fight. And there was also a fight where I think it was Marina Moroz who submitted Joanna Wood in like 10 quickly in their first fight. That's because JoJo Wood didn't know how to stop a submission and she hadn't been trained. But like 7 years into her career, she had learned how to somewhat prevent a takedown, and she didn't really attempt to take her down, but whatever. She upped her skills. It's not as easy to submit them 10 years later, 7 years later. With that being said, apparently Macy did fight. I'm trying to see if we have a record of that fight. Yeah, here it is. So second round rear naked choke, no takedown, just a knockdown into the finish. So that wasn't a traditional submission. She knocked her down, jumped on her back, got the submission. This was in 2018. So with that being said, Monk, you think it's happening again? We get the big score for Macy here?
Probably not. It probably does go to decision, but the finishing upside for Macy is there. If you pull up that sheet you were just looking at, I think she's either been finished or has finished more fights than have gone to decision in her UFC career. So you do like to see that. And at least in her last two of her last 3 wins, Norma Dumont, good name, Shanna Young, not as good name, 106 and 108. So she is capable of putting up these points. Both were decisions, by the way. One was a split. So she is capable of putting up these decent points here. Panny Kianzad, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. She never ever scores well. Her, let's see, points per minute is 2.68, 76 per win in the division so far. And even when she loses, she's only giving up 82. So 82 is definitely not going to pay off 9K this week, which is what Macy Chiasson happens to be. Yeah, I think this, like you said, people do get better. I 100% agree. Kianzad, probably not going to be subbed again if I had to guess. Probably going to decision because that's how 87% of her fights go in the UFC. But I will be picking Chiasson. Also, anytime Chiasson fights, it has to be noted that she was finished by a liver kick and a ground liver kick while she was standing and Aldana was on the ground. She was finished while standing over a fighter. So we have to mention that. But as far as upside for female fighters, it could be worse at 9K. That's all I'm saying here. I mean, man, this will bite me if I'm wrong, but will be very low on someone like Kianzad, who should already be very low owned.
Sniper,
agreed. I'm a little higher on Chiasson just because I think she can get takedowns and won't be high owned at all. I think there's a clear path to victory there. By the way, losing to Aldana is no big deal, and she had Aldana on her back, and that liver kick was gross. Like if you watch it in slow mo,
so funny.
That's putting that. Yeah, it was a weird situation, but it wasn't like she went down to a nothing shot. Just kind of a fluky shot. I think the biggest skill, and Macy's huge. Chiasson, even if she wins, I guess the same logic I used earlier, she wins and puts up 60 and no other dog wins. Sure, she'll get there, but Macy's bigger, she's stronger, she can grapple. think she's younger too. Yes. Let me look up here. No, the same actually. No, she's a little bit older. Okay, Macy in my head was a little bit younger. Regardless, I just like the spot here for Macy a little bit more. What's the height differential?
Macy's
Like
Macy's a
4
big
inches.
girl. Dude.
Yeah, I
She's
think
really bigger.
and she's when they fought, wasn't Macy like 2-0 or 3-0 or something?
Yeah,
Like
she was very raw.
it was really early. She's knows how to use her length and her strength a little better. I'm not saying go all in on Macy, but I think that's my game theory spot here is just to get. She's going to be what 12% owned. I'll get me some 18. Sure.
I'm fine with that. I think Macy could be that surprise high score. Also, I don't dislike playing some of that. Similar to I felt about Aldana last week, who again, if she wins, probably gets there. So
Aldana, you mean Wood?
Who played last week? Not the Ukrainian girl.
Rose.
Moroz. Oh yeah. Marina last week. If she wins that fight, she gets there too. She was also 9K or 9,100.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same about Macy. She's so big. And what the hell's Panny really got for someone who's going to be stronger, and bigger? She doesn't have grappling, so I don't really know. If I'm picking against Macy, I would like somebody who has submission grappling upside. That's the person who beats her, or wrestling upside, hold her down. I think Macy has some wrestling, but it's like somebody better is just going to put her on her back. So yeah, pick is Macy. And I actually don't mind the DraftKings play at all on Macy here. I'm paying up for that. All right, let's move on. We're rolling. Christian Rodriguez, C-Rod, taking on Isaac Dolgarian. Dolgarian minus 160, coming in as a favorite. Rodriguez, slight underdog at plus 165. The fight ends inside the distance is a meager minus 130. It's not great. It's not terrible. 50-50. So, Monk, again, is this a fight we need to target? Obviously, it's close. Should we target it?
Yeah, this one is tough, and I'll just kind of go through my thought process. I think I'm citing Dolgarian, but this is normally a like, what the hell's going on moment. We got a guy that's beat a hot prospect in Rosas Jr., another good prospect, in my opinion, in Cameron Simon. And now he's fighting a guy with 6 fights that has 1 win in the UFC. It was very good, but still, and now he's an underdog here. But if we kind of look into it,
I can read in why that happened, by the way, because look at those little scale icons on
that's
on
exactly what I was
yeah.
about to say.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
3 fights in a row. I thought Weems missed actually, but there's no scale up, so maybe I'm wrong. 2 fights in a
Weems
row.
missed in that fight.
That's what I thought. Oh yeah, that's why it's not up there. So Weems missed in his fight, and then C-Rod missed in the Rosas and Simon fight. Wasn't even close really. So he's basically being forced back up to featherweight, in which he lost his UFC debut. I don't know how much stock I put into that against a wrestle heavy Jonathan Pierce.
Pierce is good too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know how much stock I want to put in that loss, but I am concerned. C-Rod takes that loss, then tries his damnedest to stay at bantamweight. Now he's coming back up against a guy who is proven to hit like a fucking truck. So I don't know what his chin is going to look like. On the other side, Dolgarian has 6 pro fights. Anything could happen. Like, just because he has 1 KO in the UFC against,
never been outside of the first round.
Exactly. Never been outside. We don't know what his cardio. I assume it's decent, but I have no idea. He beats Francis Marshall. And okay, so cool. He scored his 121 points. I guess what I'm getting at is you kind of have to play Dolgarian because we don't know what C-Rod's chin is going to look like up here necessarily. And Dolgarian hits like a truck. But at the same time, I'm going to also be playing Rodriguez because while he doesn't score well, what's his salary? 7,700. He doesn't have to break the bank to make the optimal lineup in a win. And he's put up wins against quality competition, granted, at bantamweight. So I think I'm going to have a little bit of both here. I do like this fight for GPPs. Nice mid-range fight here that hopefully will end in a finish.
What do you think here, Monk? Sniper.
I'm all about Isaac Dolgarian in this one. I think big red flag for me. Rodriguez can't be a weight bully. Dolgarian hits like a truck and he can wrestle. And now I am kind of guessing, but those guys who can wrestle, typically their cardio is not shit. You don't see wrestlers gas out. Like I am guessing a little bit. Could happen, but it would surprise me. Dolgarian's hits hard, a guy coming up in weight class, and that means Rodriguez can't wait, but Dolgarian's gonna be able to take him down. I like Dolgarian a lot in this spot. I think Rodriguez is okay. And it's a weird combination that I need to see it from Rodriguez in a fight where he's not going to weight bully. But also, I'm just really high on Dolgarian. I like the price. I'll be honest. I'm probably going to drop a play in the Sharp app on Isaac Dolgarian. Like I'm betting him straight up. I love the spot.
I like it. I like you. I like the confidence. I love this fight from a DraftKings perspective. Both guys are high action. Both guys have some grappling. I don't think either guy is going to be too scared to get put on their back, and they'll think they'll be able to get out of it. So I think that leads to a lot of grappling. The ultimate gold for scoring is when you could take somebody down and they have the ability to get back up and you could do it again. So I think this is a high-scoring fight for the winner, first off. Secondly, Isaac Dolgarian has not been outside of the first round. He's a nasty. So you just can't skip this one. I love the salaries where they are. It's in the middle of the range. You always need a lot of fights in the mid-range to put a quality lineup together. Everything says this is a good one to target. Sniper, I agree with you. I am definitely going with Dolgarian here to get this win. But more importantly, this is I don't even think, it's not crazy to me to think that Rodriguez could somehow find a submission as well or be competitive here. But Dolgarian is the man. He's got takedowns. He's got power. He's got everything you want. He's 8,500. I think it is on DraftKings. Yeah, 8,500. He's priced right. Easy fight to go over the field and exposure on. This will be one I'm on pretty heavy this week. All right. We're getting up there, guys. I don't have a whole lot to say about this fight, but Kennedy Nchukwu taking on Ovin St. Preux. Nchukwu is a minus 700 favorite in this one. OSP plus 500. Fight ends inside the distance, minus 400. I mean, come on. OSP, Monk. This dude is slow. He's over the hill.
Slow SP.
Old, slow SP. Outside of the Von Flue choke win, I don't even know what the win condition is for him at this point.
Yeah, man, this is tough. I know the narrative is that Kennedy's never finished a fight in the first round, at least not in the UFC. I'd have to look at Tapology to see, first of all, if that's accurate, and second of all, if it's accurate for his whole career. But if there's ever a time, Kennedy, to get your first UFC first round KO, it's now. It is now against Ovin St. Preux, who shouldn't be fighting, almost 41 years old, knocked out by Tanner Boser, although the last guy made fun of for getting knocked out by Tanner Boser was Felipe Lins.
Yeah, let's come on now. Let's not do this again.
Knocked out by Lins, but Lins looks, that loss looks less bad.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, has been finished in the first round. That Lins finish was a 1 minute finish, actually less than that. So we love, just like we like playing guys that can finish people in less than 1 minute. I love playing against guys that can be finished in less than 1 minute. So Kennedy, I mean, yeah, the number's not always going to be there, although he has scored decently against Clark 104 and Roberson 106. Not the best competition there. Only 91 against Kutalaba. So if this gets like into the second or third, I'm pretty much ripping this $9,400 ticket up and throwing it out the window because he's going to score 70 fucking points. But like I said, there is, in my opinion, a chance for a quick win bonus. And if that's the case, then I'm going to play that guy. So give me Nchukwu, and I don't see how I could be more than like 5% on OSP, and that's being very generous.
I think the risk in Nchukwu is exactly what you just said. He still gets the finish.
Right.
But he does it in round 2. Even with the knockdown, you're only scoring about 100 in that scenario. And a 9,500 fight, 100 could get you there on certain card. I don't know if this is that card. 100 could get you there at 9,500, but like it's usually you at 9,500. You usually need one of the higher.
94, but he's still the most expensive fighter.
Or yeah, even 94. But yeah, being the most expensive guy, you almost always need him to at least have one of the top 2 or 3 highest scores on the entire card.
Yep.
Sniper, do you think Kennedy can get it done fast enough? He's got to go. I think it's got to be a first. I don't think it has to be 60 seconds, but I think he needs a first round finish here because Kennedy, just the style that OSP fights, he's probably not going to get hit 150 times.
Yeah, probably. It's a weird one. I'm on Njoku, obviously. I think he probably gets it done. Honestly, this is one just probably play Kennedy in cash. Well, is it Kennedy or
what's his
more
pressure
expensive?
look like? Is
Yeah.
the question.
I don't know. And OSP can lull you into these weird slow fights. Yep. Yeah, there you go. It's weird. I haven't 100% made up my mind what I'm going to do with this fight. I'm probably going to be a little bit underweight. That's where I landed in the notes. And all week I keep thinking OSP is so old. He's going to fall off. But he has these weird, boring fights. And I'm probably going to be under to both guys. I'm going to be like nothing on OSP, and I'll take the shot on Kennedy, just not getting there. I just, up at the top, I'd rather take my stabs on Mike Davis, Gerald Meerschaert, and Macy Chiasson to put up 100 plus. That's the real problem here. Could it backfire on me? Absolutely. But I got to make choices, and my choice is OSP, do what you always do and have a boring-ass first round, and then I don't care what happens.
The reason I think that sometimes a fight with like an OSP type just is lower volume is he's not throwing as many strikes. Think about Yoel Romero fights. Like it's never that good of a scoring fight for either guy because he's not doing that much, but also he's got still has power and he's got that one hit power. So you can't just kind of get loose on them without worrying about the power coming back at you. And I think that causes the fight to maybe just be a little more cautious than you might be if there wasn't that much power coming. Again, this is just like nuance stuff, but Kennedy is not exactly a fighter that throws massive volume anyway. Like he doesn't do a whole lot that scores incredibly well most of the time. Yeah. I mean, here it is. 4.8 strikes per minute, no real grappling. So he's scoring on a knockdown, on a finish. Like that can happen. That probably will happen at some point. It's just like when and will it justify the salary? So I like the idea of going a little below, and I'll have a share or two, literally just a couple of shares of OSP in case he can find the submission miracle or something. He does have the ability to get it. He knows how to do it. And even at age 40, I don't think you forget how to do that. So I hate OSP. It's boring to watch him fight. I'm not looking forward to this one at all. But in turn, I don't hate the man. I hate watching his fights because they're boring, to clarify. But give me Kennedy. But outside of the first round, he's not going to score enough to justify the salary, I don't think. All right. Co-main event. Brian Battle taking on Ang Lusa. Battle minus 183 as the current slight favorite, with Lusa coming in as a plus 158 underdog. Fight goes the distance, minus 160. So looks like the potential for 3 rounds of action here. Monk, how do you see these two matching up?
Well, historically, it's interesting because both guys, when they win, score very well on average, but they go about it in very different ways. Battle put up 127 quick win bonus against Sato. Lost his next fight to Renat, very good opponent. Then he puts up another quick win bonus, even shorter time, against Gabe Green, scoring 126. Then he subs AJ Fletcher, scores 102. So he's out here getting finishes and putting up big scores. Like we were just talking about, what if Kennedy gets a second round finish and scores 80 points? Well, when Brian Battle gets a second round finish, he's putting up over 100. Then we've got Ange Lusa, who's also, he's 1-2 or 2-1 in the UFC. Scored 123 against Fletcher and 115 against McKee, but both of those were via decision. So he's out here landing takedown, much like Mike Davis, his numbers anyway. He's landing numerous takedowns while putting up 7 strikes a minute, 8.6 strikes a minute, and a ton of control time, 38% of 15 minutes on average. So there are scores coming from everywhere. And I think while Battle has looked good, I think I'm slightly leaning Ange Lusa here for the dog money at 7,600. Just because, I mean, his numbers are, even in his loss, he landed 88 strikes and put up 36 points, which isn't terrible, especially when he was 7,400 that week. So now we're getting him for the second lowest price we've ever seen him at 7,600. And on the other side, Battle is not expensive at all at 8,600. In fact, he is, I guess he's been 8,700 twice. So he's just under his most expensive salary. I like both sides of this one. I'm going with Ange Lusa just because I'm a numbers guy, and it's hard for me to get away from that sometimes. So I like his output, his overall output, a little bit more than Battle. But man, I mean, unless this goes to just like a stalemate respect kind of thing, I think either guy is prime for the optimal lineup with a win.
What do you say, Sniper?
I like Battle more. I don't. We got big inside that. I mean, I don't know. I'm processing everything Monk just said because I really didn't have a ton of this fight. It really wasn't on my radar as one to target, really at all. I think he's better than Battle's better than I thought for sure. Minus 190 to go to decision.
Seems
I know what they
wild.
I don't know. I just the way Battle fights to me. I'm reading the numbers. When I see it in my head, I think Battle wins. He's a little better everywhere. It's kind of both guys, co-main event of the evening. I don't think anything wild's going to happen. For me, it wasn't one that I was very excited in listening to Monk. Maybe I'll get a little more. So that's kind of swaying my opinion. But for me, it was kind of Battle and a vanilla fight, and there were other spots I liked. I'm going to go revisit that. Maybe I'll update my notes for DFS Army members. But heading into this, that's how I was looking at it. Battle win, but not super excited about it.
Yeah, I'm leaning a little bit more that way, Sniper. I like Battle to win. Just I've been impressed by Brian Battle. Just been impressed by him in general. I especially the Gabe Green win. That was impressive. An impressive win. I think he was an underdog in that one too. I like it. I like that side of it. I agree with you though. I don't think this one. I know both guys have scored well, but it's been situational for the most part. Like there's been kind of weird reasons for it. Fast finish, or the reasons haven't been as repeatable as you would hope for. Like massive volume, lots of takedowns and that kind of thing. That it's just been a little bit of, again, a fast finish against Sato, the crazy fast finish against Green. And that's because Battle's a badass. But, this fight is, if it doesn't happen that fast, I don't think he's locked in to putting up a big number. I actually think Angalusa has a little actually more, I would say, pace and takedown equity.
Yeah, Lusa decision is good, and Battle early would be good.
There it is. That's exactly right. Like I don't think Battle in a decision, at a plus money guy is locked into a good score. Like 8,600. Probably need like a 95 to be in the discussion at that level, and I don't know that he's getting there without a knockdown or something along the way. Lusa has, I think he has really good takedown defense. I mean, I'm not sure if this 100% was established against anybody who could grapple. Well, Della Maddalena can, but he probably didn't bother. Just knocked him out or something. But like he established his 100. He has 100% takedown defense. So do with that what you will. He hasn't been taken down yet. I don't really think Battle's going to take him down, nor will he try. So I just don't see where the scoring comes from for Battle if it doesn't end quickly. I think Ange in a decision, if he gets the decision, probably can do enough at dog money. So for that reason, I actually think Battle is going to win. I'm picking him to win this fight by decision, but I think Lusa is probably a slightly better DraftKings risk compared to Battle. All right, last fight of the night, guys. The main event. Tuivasa taking on Marcin Tybura. This is pretty much a pick 'em at this point, depending on what sports book you're looking at.
I don't get this fucking line movement. I don't understand what's happening.
Let's see what the movement is. I mean, I don't know. It's not like I'm not seeing.
Well, the line is no that one. Ty opened up at least when I saw it minus 135, and where people are betting Tybura, and I don't understand it.
Ty was minus 135.
Somewhere. Where was he?
I don't know what the fuck that was on, but I'm not finding that here.
You're clicking on Tybura.
Oh, Oh, okay. Yeah, minus 130. Okay, so on Bet Online, he went from minus 130 to minus 120, 115. Let's see here. Yeah, minus one. Yeah,
And
so
you go down to the
usually
highest
Bet Online
point.
is the first book that opens odds.
Yeah. So I don't I guess in general I thought people were gonna be betting Tuivasa, which is the side I'm on, but it's getting weird, in my opinion.
Let's see what the stats look like for these two guys. Tuivasa's got. I mean, Tybura will go for a takedown every once in a while. Tuivasa is not the best at defending takedowns. I think it's a really close fight, Monk. I think it's close. I tend to
probably a little closer than people think on paper, but I mean, for me, it's either tied to Tuivasa relatively early, but he's also been finished in 3 of his last 3 losses. Granted, the opponents are basically top of the top. Sergey Pavlovich just fought for a title. Cyril Gane fought for a title, was a champion, and then Volkov is right below those guys. So can't really discredit him there. But he can be finished. And Tybura, while he hasn't finished anybody since Walt Harris in 2021, he has the ability. His haircut, as a bald guy, you don't really talk about people's haircuts, but my goodness, that boy's haircut is wild. Yeah, he looks like Gary Oldman in Fifth Element without the plastic thing on his head.
I saw that post.
But yeah, I mean, also Tybura has not put up a good winning score since the Harris fight. He scored 59 against Romanov, and obviously that he was getting beat. And then he kind of, after Romanov gas, he worked his way back. And then Blagoy Ivanov, who's also extremely low volume, he scored 64 points there. So I don't know what it's going to look like against a guy that just wings overhands from every direction in Tai Tuivasa, but I'll take my chances at 8,300. I will absolutely be playing Tai Tuivasa. And at 7,900, I'll have some of Tybura as well. Although, like Sniper, I am on the Tuivasa side. And I think he can get it done against a 38-year-old heavyweight. Although 38 years old at heavyweight's like being in your fucking prime. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter.
This fight is lock button in terms of you have to, this fight.
This is one of them. Yep.
Yeah. Like let's just start there. Because I said at the beginning of the episode, like the first thing you need to understand is this is as close to a lock button fight as was Saint Denis and Poirier last week. Like you just have to have a piece of it in every single lineup outside of the eye poke lineup, right? The one where the fight gets canceled after the start of the card, because if this thing first, it's so unlikely to go the full 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. Somebody is getting finished low. It's minus 650 to end inside the distance. And for me and Sniper, maybe you can answer this question for me. Like, if this is standing, Tai Tuivasa is going to not like Tuivasa is going to be at a significant advantage to me. Mm-hmm. And Tybura will have some takedown and top control equity, but Tybura's kind of doesn't normally do that much of that. Like, he will go for a takedown, but he's not, this isn't Merab and this isn't Ricky Simone. Like, he's not going to be relentless about it. So I think he does take Tai down, and that works out. But then the round will end and they stand back up again. So I just think at some point it will stay standing for long enough for Tai to find it. Well, that's kind of how I see it going down. What do you think here?
I'm with you. Exactly what I think. I think at some point Tai is going to land a big shot and put Tybura down. Tybura's live for grappling. Sure. By the way, for what it's worth, Tuivasa is showing improvements. Like
in his get-up game, for sure.
Like, how long has it been since you saw a big man shrimp? Like, he actually hip escaped. I've never seen that going, holy shit, he can do it. Like, Ty's trying improvement. Tybura's not some big ground control guy, but any 265-pound man on top of you is a fucking problem. Doesn't matter how good you are, but I don't think Tybura's going to finish him on the ground. Just like you said, I think at some point they're going to stand up and Tuivasa hits harder. Tybura can be got at. I think this is the bounce back spot for Tai. And for what it's worth, this narrative, this thinking worked a few times last week when I've said the UFC knows what they're doing. Doesn't always work this way. Who's one of the biggest stars in the UFC heavyweight division? Tai Tuivasa.
People love Tai.
Who's on a 3-fight losing streak and desperately needs a fucking win? Tai Tuivasa. So I mean, doesn't always work that way, but yeah, give me Tai.
So let me And I'm going to pile onto that here. You know, Tui's losing. His losses have come to like literally the elite tier, and he's not elite. He's not going to beat those type of guys. So you're losing to Pavlovich and Cyril Gahn and even Alex Volkov. These are all people recently fighting for the championship.
He's an elite beer drinker.
He pounds beer. But you know, Tybura is like the gatekeeper to acceptable UFC heavyweight. He's like that gatekeeper where when you're losing to Tybura, you suck, right? You're a heavyweight. That's one of the scrub zone, you know, hanging out with Jared Vanderha and you know, and that crew, the dude who fought last week, like a bunch of white dudes with hairy chests. Like that's who that's your group. You're in that crew. And then if you beat Tybura, now you're in that next level up. He's the gatekeeper for me. And I think Tybura, I think Tai Tuivasa is not in the full scrub zone. I think he is one of those serviceable UFC heavyweights that will stick around and will be a guy who beats the scrubs and only loses to the more elite guys. So I don't know. I think Tui probably, it's just he should get this done.
Agreed. Totally agree.
All right, let's talk about our kill shot for this card. We did way too long on this card. Yep. But we did have the story about the Sax man, a couple other stories here. So acceptable. Let's talk about the kill shot, which is an underdog we think can win and win us some and get us some nut equity on DraftKings tournaments. The rules are they cannot be the main event or 5-round fighter. And the difficult rule is, I think, what do we say? It's under 7,800 in salary to be an acceptable kill shot. So let's bring up the old salary list here. And Sniper, you ready with the kill shot?
Well, of course I am. O'Day.
Okay,
O'Day.
for O'Day. I like it.
Osborne. I'm throwing a soccer for my soccer fans out there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ash, who I'm sure is watching. That was for you, buddy.
There it is. Little Euro action right there. Monk, how about you? Sniper likes Odie here to be the kill shot.
I think there's actually a couple of several acceptable picks this week. Although I'm not picking a lot of dogs, I think a lot of them are decent for a kill shot. I will go with somebody in the co-main event. I'm going to go with Ange Lusa at 7,600 for some nuts equity, as you say.
Yes. I think both strong choices. I see here that Amarim is not usable as a kill shot. She is outside of the zone of usability. I am going with Danny Silva, a.k.a. D Sizzles, to shock the world against Josh Kulabau and get us a W.
That would be shocking to me. Definitely would be shocking.
Yeah, I like it. All right, another kill shot. We got a big card coming up for this weekend, so let's enjoy this one before next week's shitfest comes. But a couple weeks from now,
usually though, the shitfest cards are really fun.
True.
It doesn't matter to me. In the end of the day, we're gambling on DraftKings.
True.
Doesn't matter.
More true.
I don't care who's on the card. Sometimes it's harder. Like, yeah, listen, this card has that first fight with 2 scrubs, and it's impossible to really know which one's good. We'll see. We're gonna get like 5 of those or 6 of those next week, but it doesn't matter. We're trying to win money on DraftKings. So I love every single card. I don't care. Good luck this week, everybody. Like, subscribe, sign up for DFS Army, hang with us in the Discord. We'll see you next time.